What's good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and the overall markets. I'm going to break down what's going on with some big news involving Tesla and what the charts are suggesting. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, when it comes to the market, we just got some wholesale inventories that aligned with expectations. And the next thing we're waiting for would be the bill auctions coming out at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Besides that, we just have Barkin from the Fed giving a speech. Everything else is very, very minor for the markets. Now, like I said in the morning, the market's pushing so far. I mentioned the market's going to likely try to push, but I wouldn't necessarily fully trust this move to continue for an extended period of time so far, because you have to remember that every time the market pushed this week, we did end up getting a little bit of a descent after that, and there is a good chance that that could happen again. So I just wanted to give you guys a warning about this as we approach resistance. So I'll talk about the levels in just a minute. Let me just go over some news. There's a lot of talk right now about Tesla's energy business. We're actually seeing a lot of analysts coming out talking about it, saying that they believe that the energy segment will drive strong earnings, and they believe that this is something that's oftentimes overlooked. Many people are even comparing the energy segment with that of Amazon Web Services, which is a very, very key earnings driver. So they think that this is going to be a very, very key component for Tesla that's very, very overshadowed. And they think that this could also add an additional $50 per share up to the share price, which is why Morgan Stanley still has a $310 price target. So that's actually very bullish for Tesla, especially as we're looking at some nice revenue increases and more projections to continue to grow. On top of this, the energy segment revenue is expected to hit $9.6 billion this year, which is above the previous expectation of about 6.6 billion. So this is a very, very good segment for Tesla, and this will continue to grow. And this is getting lots of investors very, very excited. So I do agree that this will be very, very big for them. And this is a very, very important segment, a very important industry that we have to look at instead of kind of like forgetting about and just looking at their vehicles. So this is good news for Tesla. There's also some news coming out that ChargePoint is introducing a new Omni port that combines Tesla and other EV plugs into one. So pretty cool stuff right here. This is going to be a new piece of technology that helps to ease the overall process for drivers, regardless of what the make or model happens to be. The Omniport ensures EV drivers could charge at any charge point space, combining multiple charging plugs into one single port. As EV adoption continues, there's going to be a lot more necessity for charging infrastructure. So I think that this is going to be very useful. And then this gives more and more advantages to more and more consumers, which makes things a lot easier for them. This incentivizes them to buy and buy and buy more of these EVs because it just takes a lot of the pain away. So I think this is very, very cool. It does not necessarily mean that this will make it compatible with every single plug in existence. However, I think some cars like the Nissan Leaf don't kind of like qualify. But for the most part, this will cover most EVs out there and make things a lot more useful. So I just want to call that out. So very, very cool stuff. I think that's very, very useful. Anyways, going back to the charts, I just want to mention that right now we are a little bit more bullish. We are still trying to push. But remember what I said in my video earlier. Yes, we expected the market to push up because of manipulation. But look at what happened at the end of every day. Tesla did reject on Monday. Tuesday, we pumped a little bit, then started to reject. So we got this pump and rejection. Wednesday, we pumped only to reject. So today, we're trying to rebound, which is great, especially as we got some decent initial jobless claims data. But we're approaching this 200 resistance on Tesla. This is where things become very, very tight. If we manage to break that, we could get very close to about this 202 area. So I'm going to be looking at this very, very key resistance on Tesla. If we manage to close above 202, we could actually turn bullish, and this could be a sign that Tesla has a low that was established in this low 180 area. We pushed up, then we're making a higher low, and this could be a trend change, especially if we break these highs right here. If not, if we reject off 200 and fail to hold it, there's still a risk of us coming back down. So that's going to be very, very important. This is going to be a big test for the markets. As of right now, I'm still not counting on this to be a big bounce, a big trend reversal quite yet. We can't make that call yet. We have to wait and see. So watch this resistance at 200 and see if this could break this or not. If we fail to break this, we could retrace back down to at least 195. So just be careful, guys. Be very, very mindful of that. Looking at SPY, we're pushing as well very, very nicely. The question is this low going to hold at 507? Did we just make a higher low and are we about to continue to uptrend, or are we about to get a big rejection, and could this be a fake out? So we'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. For now, don't worry about the lows. We're just going to focus on resistance. We have resistance at 528, the level I called out at 525 broke. If we break 528, I'd be looking for basically 530, the 530 to 531 area. If we fail, excuse me, if we fail at 528, we could be dipping back down towards 525 all over again. I think that there's a risk of us potentially retracing back down to 525. We did make a very, very nice attempt to break out, but watch this resistance around this 528 area. We'll have to see if we could hold this area. We are fighting some tough resistance, and there is a risk of us kind of descending, at least later on by the time we close. So just be very mindful of that. Why do I say that? Because for Monday, we pumped and dumped. Tuesday, we pumped and dumped. Wednesday, we pumped only to dump. Today, we're pumping and are we about to dump? We'll just have to wait and see, but just be mindful of this risk. For Nvda, watch resistance. If we manage to hold above 102.5, I'd be looking for 104 and then eventually 108. If we reject and we end up losing the 102s, look for 197.5 as support. We have a double top leg structure, which is leading to a little bit of a trend change. And notice that for Monday, we pumped and dipped a little bit. Tuesday, we pumped and dumped. Wednesday, we pumped and dumped. Today, we are pumping and are we about to get a dump? We're struggling to hold above 102.5, so just be careful. There is a risk of this potentially rejecting, so just want to give you guys a warning about that. For Bitcoin, we're going to go back up here. Bitcoin's pumping up. We called out 59,000. If we reject here on Bitcoin, we could retrace back down to about 58,000 flat. If we break 59,000, we remain bullish, so just be careful. We're at some tough resistance, and we'll see if we get a rejection or not right up here. For other stocks out there like ES has been pumping very, very nicely. We have 53.25 to 53.50 coming, this entire range right over here. Watch 53.25 as resistance. This is where we had previous resistance as well. If that breaks, we're going all the way up to about 53, the 53.50s. But just note that every time we hit the 53.25 to 53.50 range, like I was saying, we rejected. We pushed, rejected, pushed, rejected, pushed, rejected 4 days in a row. So we're at resistance right now. To turn bullish, you want to break past this 200 EMA. We got to try to break past 53.80 to turn bullish. If we come short of that, or if we fail to break past 53.50, there's a risk that ES could reject. It is possible it pushes a little bit more, but if we get that rejection, look at our key support at 52.65 and also 5300. My guts tells me it might push a little bit more, but then watch resistance. It could lead us right back down to 5300, if not the mid 5200. So just be careful with that. For the QQQ, got a beautiful pump. Awesome to see this pumping finally, especially after the big downside we saw yesterday. But remember this: Monday we pumped hard, then we dumped. Tuesday we pumped, then we dumped. Wednesday we pumped, then we dumped. Thursday we pumped. What's coming next? Might get a dump. Not a guarantee, but that's the trend that we've been on for the past 3 days. So we're at resistance. We called a little pump coming. It's about 444. We're currently at resistance in the 446 area. If this breaks, I could be looking for 448. If we don't break above 446, and if we do get a rejection, I'll be looking for 444 to be retested. If that fails, I think 441 is likely coming. This is going to be our 50 EMA. And if that fails, we could be dipping all the way down to the 430s again. So watch this 446 zone as resistance, see if we get a rejection or not, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. For Aapl pushed about this 212 area, coming just short of my 214 targets, came a little bit short. It actually reached 213. We got to break past 214 to turn bullish. I'm sorry, we break 216, we turn bullish. If we break 214, then we could go up there. If we end up losing 210, I'd be looking for a dip all the way down to about 207. I think that there's an interesting trend in Aapl. On Monday, we pumped and dumped. Tuesday, we pumped and dumped. Wednesday, we pumped and dumped. Today, we're pumping. We'll see if we get a rejection on Aapl or not. Just know that 212 is going to be a tough resistance. And if we lose it, we could be retracing to 210 at least. The IWM is trying to push right now. We're going to be looking at this resistance all the way up here towards 208. And we also have support at 205. I think that it's very possible that the IWM pushes a little bit more. It is possible to get closer to about 207. But like I said before, resistance is kind of tough. Notice the last couple of days, we pumped and dumped on Monday. Tuesday, we pumped and dumped. Wednesday, we dumped. Thursday, we're pumping a little bit. Could push a little bit more than dump, but we're still within this range. We got to break past 210 to turn bullish. And if we're bearish, you want to see it lose 200. I think we could push a little bit more towards 207, and we'll see if we get a rejection back down towards 203, then eventually 202.5. So we'll just have to see how things end up going. So I'll be watching this very carefully. Now, Coinbase is building some strength of all things. We managed to break past our EMA, but just be careful. Uh, if we close above 190, this could continue to push all the way up towards 197. And if we fail at this 190 area, there's going to be a risk of us retracing. So I do want to warn you that Coinbase pumped once on Monday, then it dumped. We pushed a little bit on Tuesday, then dumped. Wednesday, we pumped and dumped. Thursday, we're pumping so far. We could push a little bit more, get closer to 195, but just be careful. If we do get a dump, we could retrace back down to 190. So I still see a risk of that. For Amazon, it's the same thing essentially. We're pushing a little bit, but we're still shuffling at 165. May just continue to shuffle, but if we lose this, I'll be looking for a dip towards 163. Watch 165, 166 is resistance, and if we lose that, we'll be dipping down to 163. Watch and see how we react. We kind of pushed a bit and we could reject, so just be very mindful of that. For Meta, we're trying to rebound right here. Notice how we're trying to push. We have resistance around the 504 area, and also at 510. I think that this could be establishing a lower high, so it's not looking that great. And there is a risk of us retracing to 500. If that does not hold, then there's going to be a bigger dip. But for now, look for 500 as support. We might retest that. We'll see if that holds or not. So far, Meta is holding decently, but just give it some time. And if that fails, we're coming back down. For Microsoft, we pushed all the way up to the resistance around this 405 area. If we reject, look at 401 as support. Losing that turns us back down. If we hold above 401, we could try to push for 407.5. I think we might retrace towards 401 again, and then we'll see if that holds or not. If that doesn't hold, we're going to be dipping. And I see the same thing for Google. Google has been trying to push. It's still actually holding up very well at 165. We'll see if we break that or not. If we don't break that, look for a retest of 162.5. It's going to retrace back down to 162. If we hold above 165 or at least break it, we turn bullish, and then we will fill this gap towards 168. Just be careful. We'll see if we hold above 165 or not. So far, it's kind of struggling to do so, so there's that risk of 162 to be retested. So we'll see how things go. Anyways, that's it for my update for now. The market's done a good job at pushing. Okay, this is not necessarily a surprise right now. Yesterday, I was leaning more bearish because of the big dump we saw and because of some bad news that came out, but it wasn't really enough to continue to cause things to dip because the market is very manipulated. So with this adjustment that's being made with the market pumping, I did change my analysis and say that we're actually looking bullish and we should be expecting a pump. I'm being 100% transparent and honest. So the pump has come. It's not necessarily a surprise. We were expecting this for the morning, and that is why there's a big shift. But every time we did pump, we were followed by a dump. So there is a risk of that in the markets right now. I want to give you guys that important warning. So make sure you watch resistance. Tesla has not been able to break 200 so far. So we'll see if we get a rejection. So just be mindful of that. With that being said, I want to thank you for listening. Have a great day, guys. Peace out.